Hello, this is Daniel Van. Um, this is, I believe I connected the YouTube channel Wrestling and Sports Talk. And what I wanted to talk about was why for people who follow me on Launchpad One or subscribe to Launchpad One, wanted to let y'all know what's been happening since the last recording. What's been what's been happening is I was going through depression, and I went to a place called Beacon, right in the state where I live, and that's why I haven't recorded as much as I would like to. I officially graduated yesterday. So when I saw this website, as I come back on here, hoping that maybe I can maybe I can share this as an audio episode from a podcast on Launchpad One. We see if the website here remembers me. By the way, the podcast is called The Wrestling World as I See It. So, really didn't have a topic, but what I will do is to test this out. It's to talk about, let's continue talking about WrestleMania 14, I believe. Or was it WrestleMania? It was WrestleMania 13. That's what it is. Hmm. Hmm. First two matches were really interesting. Was the number one first match, I believe, was the number one contenders match to determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles at the time. And I believe it was the New Blackjacks that won the match, last eliminating, I think it was the Godwins. You gotta sign into this. Let's see if they remember my password. So let's see if it's supposed to be. Yeah, I got it this time. Let's see. Then, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Rocky Maivia successfully defend his Intercontinental title against. I actually forgot his name, but he was managed by the Iron Sheik. Gotta go forward in the continue watching section. Let's see. I guess because it's the app and it's not. Let me restate that. I guess because it's the website and not the app. I guess that's why it's harder to find or go to the continue watching section. see, 13. Okay, yeah. One great thing about Peacock is you can get to all the if you can't get to the continue watching section, you can look for what you're looking for, and it keeps them up there. Okay, so it wasn't the Blackjacks that won. I think it was the Godwins who defeated or lost to the most. Okay, we had the Bushwhackers were unorthodox, but they had more wrestling ability than the Headbangers. I believe the finish came right here. Just wanted to clarify a mistake I made. This press like maneuver from the top rope. 1, 2, 3. So the Headbangers won. And then Rocky Maivia kept the Intercontinental title, as I just spoke about. Then he got assaulted by his opponent and his opponent's manager, the Iron Sheik, and Bob Backlund. By the way, just had his birthday yesterday, by the way. If I'm not mistaken, I think 75. And when they got to be too much, Rocky Johnson came down to help his son, Rocky Maivia. And before the next match happened, I cannot see the next match because it's hard to see this match. But I'll suffice it to say this. In the next match, it was Goldust versus Hunter Helmsley. So they did a pre-match promo / interview with Hunter Helmsley, with China on the side of him. This was so early on that the whole question was, who is she? Why do you have her? Being a fan of not just wrestling, not just WWE, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, shows like that, but being a fan of the documentaries they do, I can tell you that the reason Triple H had used China the way he did in that character was to show how unique she was, and because he looks, you can tell he's a bodybuilder even by that time. So even though he wasn't as big as he had gotten, it's big enough to where you could see he worked out. And when you see how unique she was, and I honestly don't believe it would have worked with just anybody else. I believe that's why Triple H, or should I say his real name, Paul Levesque. I believe that's why Paul Levesque chose her, because he knew if I want to show them how good I am, I have to do something that is so unique and so original that when this is over, they'll look back and they'll say, that shows how good he is, because, as Michael Hayes said on Triple H's story, there's an art to making somebody like China not only show her uniqueness, but to show how unique you are, because you need somebody unique like China to help you. No, I'll give China this. I always believe in giving people credit. China was the first ever female bodybuilder to be in the business. And I can understand why they would be afraid of China, but growing up watching how tough sensational Sherry was, even though she was very entertaining and very beautiful and ladylike, she is still tough. So when they spoke about how China could beat you up, well, I thought Sherry was tougher than China. So even though she was big and she was tall, China, and she had muscles, I I was scared of her to a degree as a kid, but I did not see how she was more unique than sensational Sherry. But I guess it's because Sherry was more ladylike and more gentle and just more feminine. I think that's what the difference would be right there. But what's interesting looking back at that, because I saw this when Netflix was brand new and all you could do is get DVDs, we used to rent wrestling DVDs from them. And I remember watching WrestleMania 13 on DVD. And my dad, by this time, he was slowly losing his interest in wrestling, but he knew enough about how Triple H worked at this particular time in history that even he could see that this was not the Triple H we're used of. And there are so many moments in the match where you could see he was not um, you could see he was not the cerebral assassin. He was not where he should have been. It's like there are a lot of moments in the match against Goldust that showed Goldust's relative experience against Hunter S. Helmsley. I didn't see when Mark Miro first came out, which was the year before this. So what I wanted to do was finish talking about WrestleMania 13, and then I just thought to myself just now, I wanted to go back about a year before this and talk about Raw versus Nitro and talk about how Mark Miro became Mark Miro on TV, how he became Old Man Mark Miro. So I thought I would just do this video where I talk about some of these matches and test this out to see if I can upload this on Launchpad 1. And I hope y'all enjoy this. Those of you that have been here that will hear this far. Now it's not as let me restate that because things are so much worse today in society. Not always easy to hear a promo today, not because it's boring. No, it's because you don't know what people. I don't know what people are gonna say. So that's why I don't always hear a promo. But when I do, I can usually notice. Excuse me. Can usually notice when it appears that when it appears that someone is trying to remember what to say or may not know what to talk about and kind of have a sense of, okay, now I can see why this person had trouble, why that person had trouble, why this character was booed so much, why this character was not pushed so far. And like, I'll give you a perfect example. In NXT, we have Shawn Spears came back, and you can see the way he acts now in NXT, you can see it was as a result of being guided or managed or coached by Tully Blanchard in AEW. That's so much of an impact, or not so much of a change that Sean Spears had gotten as a performer by Tully's guidance. So that's just one example of how good it is to have veterans come back and be like a mentor to young people. So let's go back to promos, to this promo that's about to happen. The interviewer here, person who was interviewing, was Todd Pettengill, and he was asking Ken Shamrock about what he did with Billy Gunn just 6 nights before this. I think he was, as I recall talking about this, he was trying to demonstrate, because of Billy Gunn interrupting him, he wanted to show Billy Gunn and the fans what to expect from him in the submission match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hitman Hart. Right from the very beginning in real life, Steve Austin said that he did not know that he was supposed to be facing Bret Hart. So he ended up having to train harder than before. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, this was in Chicago, Illinois. The Rosemont Horizon, I believe. Whatever the arena was called was in the Rosemont. And it was Steve Austin's favorite place to wrestle, so he decided to train harder because he knew. He's doing a submission match, not by his own admission, not knowing a submission hold to save his life. He knew, I have to really make double sure that I'm ready for this. So he stopped drinking beer and he lost a lot of weight as he was preparing. And the bad thing about this match was, for Steve Austin, was he had 2 bad knees, so he had to be careful not to make his knees worse. So it meant that Bret Hart had to rely on him to know how to do the fighting aspect. He had to rely on Bret Hart. That's how they were perfect. That's how they were perfect against each other, because they could both fill in the holes that the other person had. Bret Hart, the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. He could take Steve Austin, which he did, and outside of the actual fighting aspect, he could fill in the spots that Steve Austin missed. So what Steve Austin had to do was rely on his ability to look like he's fighting people. So because Bret Hart was the traditional catch-ass, catch-can wrestler, that's how they were perfect for each other. And I've always heard that people that are complete opposites but have some similarity, but have enough of a similarity, it's always going to be perfect. Like, neither man really had a lot of charisma. So in that respect, they were perfect for each other, just like one was a better grappler than the other, one was a better submission wrestler than the other, and the other one was just flat out brawlers. So it was perfect because they were complete opposites. So this was an interesting quote promo by Ken Shamrock. and he was wearing what almost looked like was a Nike coat with a check mark on the left side left side of the coat, jacket, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And he made it clear in this promo that he was trying his best not to hurt Billy Gunn, but Billy Gunn would not get did not get the hint. So he almost first thing he did was do the traditional arm bar. Try to do it again. This time waist lock. Drop toe hold into the ankle lock. Like you said, he was doing his best not to hurt him, but you're Ken Shamrock coming from the Ultimate Fighting Championship. By the way, he spent enough time in pro wrestling to where he already knew what to expect in the WWF at the time, or WWE. So that's what's interesting about this story. They both admitted that they would not hesitate, Bret or Steve Austin. Bret Hart or Steve Austin they both admitted they would not hesitate to hit him if he got in their way. That's why it was very important for Ken Shamrock to stay out of the way. And to be honest, I saw one of the best officiating jobs I've seen in a long time in TNA Impact last night. Because sometimes referees are too close to the action, that's why they get knocked out. And one thing I've been saying for a while now is they need to have a standard rule to have 2 or 3 referees outside the ring to make sure there's no chicanery. So they did something close to that last night in a women's match, and I was like, it's about time they do that. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next show is like. So let's see what he has to say right here. He said that his job is just to officiate the submission match. He's not gonna be intimidated, and he's not gonna try to do any favors for either man. Doug Hendricks is in the back next with Hunter S. Helmsley and China. Triple H or Hunter S. Helmsley came right out and said that he didn't need to know anything about China. He asked him about Goldust, about China attacking Marlena. He asked him if he could take Goldust on by himself. He said, I can take Goldust anyway I want. I think he said, I'm going to take him straight up one-on-one. But the big loser is going to be Marlena because you had a chance and you turned it down. He even went with the low blow and he spoke about Marlena's talent, so to speak, better be trying to run around away from China because it's the only way she's going to do anything. And the reason I love doing a podcast and I've loved interviewing people on my podcast is because I have a lot of questions and never realized how much questions I had until I interviewed a few people on my podcast. So I'm very happy to bring this podcast back, and I'm very excited to announce this now. As a part of the wrestling world as I know it, from time to time, I'm going to be bringing friends and people that I know on here to share their story. And, or at least I'm going to ask some people to do that if they don't mind, because I think behind the story should be about not just people's on screen stories as well as their behind the scenes story, but I think it should be from regular people that I know personally. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I'm not sure, but I believe. Hmm, yeah, not sure who to ask to interview, but I believe I can bring older brother on here and we can do it face to face. And I can do an interview with my mom, I believe. And I say these things. Well, um, there's an advertisement to fill up space to talk like that, and that's one thing I have to say about the classic entrance ramps they used to use, or the entrance themselves, is like I have to say one thing: they're very interesting to look at. And see now why they call it a tunnel, even when it looks big and fancy, like the WrestleMania 13 entrance. See why it's called a tunnel? Because all you can see is what's in front of you. You can't see anything else. Now, what's interesting about Hunter Hearst Helmsley in his character here is he would come out to these traditional sounding music that sophisticated people and rich people come out to. That's why it's interesting, is because it's one of those moments when you're like, if this character had not been very close to an extension of Paul Levesque, the way that Paul Levesque grew up and things of that nature, if this had not been very close to the way he was brought up, because I believe he was brought up in a very sophisticated way by his mom and dad. So if it wasn't for that, I don't think this would have worked nearly as well. The only problem was he had to, so that shows how good of an actor he can be. Because when you hear the real person talk, he's got no British accent. He's purely American. Now you have some people like David Taylor and Lord Stephen Regal or Sir William Regal. Gentleman Chris Adams. even Wade Barrett, who's the commentator, I believe, on SmackDown, I believe. Now you have those guys that are legitimately British. So to have Paula Vick, who has no British accent, sound perfectly British is amazing. As a matter of fact, a lot of this British influence, I think, came from his time with Lord Steven Regal in WCW. And he used to do just like William Regal or Lord Steven Regal. But he would come to the ring, and I remember my uncle used to laugh my head off about it. And it was funny, very entertaining. What was amazing was when Polovic was using his real name and he was trying his best to sound like a Frenchman because he really is a Levesque. Um, that whole gimmick, as they like to call it in wrestling, that whole gimmick was his creation. As a matter of fact, Paul Levesque said in real life that him being called Jean Polivic was actually a Ric Flair idea, but what Ric Flair did that was not only traditional, but it was smart on Ric Flair's part was he told Paul, "You're going to be the one who gets to figure this character out," and that's why it worked as long as it had, is because he was doing everything that he knew would make the crowd upset. And fortunately, in those days, you could do simple things that get people upset. Today, half the things that he did that got people upset, people would not get upset at because it's how society is today. Most people today in society act like a Paul Levesque, like characters, so that's why it would not work today. Because it's too much of a reality for a lot of people. People could, people would probably have seen today if you tried to do that and get a response, a quote heel response from the audience, they would see right through it because he said by his own admission, everything he did to get the crowd upset was just because he knew that if he was a fan, it would aggravate him. So when you do that and it's not your personality, then it's not going to work. When it's your personality, that's when it works. That's why MJF, I believe, is as popular as he is because not just that he has talent, not just that he puts the work in, it's because everything we see on TV is how he really is. As a matter of fact, I read once that he actually, MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman in AEW, he's actually worse than what we see on TV in real life. So that's the amazing thing to me about this. Now, no, I can't watch the entrance of Goldust, but what I will say is just the first 2 or 3 minutes of the match, you can see. Okay, start off with a clothesline, another clothesline by Goldust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 right hands. See, Irish whip, reversal by Hunter, comes down with an uppercut like maneuver to the corner, right hand to the gut. Ooh, again, goes up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, he spits that trying on the outside. I think he just bit him. Gets off of him. Irish whip. I think he did an inverted atomic drop, clotheslines Hunter over the top rope. So yeah, first at least 3 to 5 minutes of 2 or 3 minutes of this match, you can see where Hunter Hurst Helmsley, you can see where he was still new and he was still green, he was still inexperienced. Because there was not, he was, this had been Triple H and not Hunter Hurst Helmsley, he would have known how to handle Goldust. He's out. He gets him out on the apron. Triple H's back is to him while he's on the apron. He runs to the other side of the ring, does the baseball slide, comes out, hits him in the face. It comes straight down and somehow gets it tangled in between the ropes. And I remember I heard Bobby Heenan say that this was actually Andre the Giant's favorite thing to do anytime he was in a match. Right hand. Mike Chioda's telling him not to do the clenched fists. To be honest, I'm surprised at this point of the match. I'm surprised it's this easy to watch Goldust. I guess because of the seriousness of the story, Dustin decided to be less strange um, and more technical and more like a fighter and less of a strange character. Ooh, right here he kicks Triple H in the face as Triple H is getting untangled. I don't even know how to say it the right way. It's been so long since I had to talk about anything like this. As he was getting out of the ropes, he gets kicked in the face by Goldust. And I think he just put his forehead over the steel post. It's a good thing he put his hand in front of his forehead, or he could have gotten really hurt. He gets clotheslined over the top rope, back into the ring. You can see with China just standing there watching. She's waiting for the right time to go after Marlene, and Marlene is standing there too. Okay. Irish whip to Hunter. Hunter pulls him down, facebuster. First time he uses that, I believe. At least on a pay-per-view. Ducks that clothesline, just Goldust. Power slam. Release. Let's see what he does here. This is good. Let's see. Going to the top rope. Let's see. He gets cut off by Hunter. Hunter's going in the middle of the rope right here to do what looks like is a vertical superplex. He gets blocked as Dustin's holding onto the rope. Let's see. He's getting hit with the right hands right here. Oh, somebody's got to give here. Ooh, I think Goldust just got thrown off the ring onto the apron and he fell down. After he hit the apron with his face, I think he hit straight down on the mat in front of China, or on the side of China. Triple H had to jump down. So one thing about Triple H, and Ric Flair said as much in this table for three reunion that he, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard did. Triple H is the only man outside of Arn Anderson that never did cardio in the gym. The only thing he did was weights. So it's no wonder Triple H always looked like he was out of breath. I mean, I'm sure he did some walking outside, but he never did cardio in the ring like I mean in the treadmill. He never did the treadmill like Ric Flair or Bret Hart or people like that. Now with Arn Anderson, I can understand that because Arn Anderson was more of a ground and a pound type specialist, another great technical wrestler in his own right. But because he was more of a ground and a pound type wrestler, that's why they called him the Enforcer. But because of that, by the way, Triple H unzipped Goldust's suit so that he could chop him in the chest. Woohoo! What I have to say about this is, why is a knife edge chop, as they like to call it, which is merely for people that are not fans but may see this, may see a video of this and are friends of mine. A knife edge chop is when you do like that, almost like a backhanded slap across the chest. So the reason they call it a knife edge chop is because you do it so close to the chest. That's where you would stab the chest if you wanted to murder someone. That's why we shouldn't say knife edge chop. We should just say chop. That's why. And I don't mean to be graphic, but it's to make a point. He gets him down in the corner. It's about 3 stomps, 4, 5, 6. The referee finally got him out of there. Hunter's fussing at the audience and Marlena. Nobody knows that insult to injury. Gets him in the corner, Irish whip. Ooh. Hit hard, he went back down. He's grabbing the lower part of his back to sell how hard that was. Let's see, Irish whip. Ooh. Kick into the midsection. This Hunter. Neckbreaker. Say what you will. 1, 2, kick out. Triple H is actually, even though he was green, he actually was not that bad of a wrestler. He did a lot of great technical maneuvers. Did a lot of timing and a lot of great technique behind these maneuvers. There's some people today that don't nearly execute the maneuvers as well as he was doing them right here. And of course, the camera angles were better. I'm not going to shy away from that. The camera angles were better, but even today, even with the camera angles as bad as they are today, you can see, because the camera angles are so bad today, you can see the mistakes that are made. And if you had the cameraman from there today, I think you could still see the mistakes. Let's see. Goes for the traditional abdominal stretch. I'm waiting for him to grab one of the ropes. Okay. Okay, finally goes for the rope, but this time the referee catches him. Kicks the rope, hip toss by Goldust. Ends up standing up though. Let's see. Ron ducks that. Harley Race high knee as Triple H, as Jim Ross likes to say, takes down Goldust. Let's see. Rolls him down. First cover in the night match. Kick out. There was a pinfall earlier. I forgot if I had said it, so please forgive me. Okay. Goes for the traditional armbar, where instead of it being to the side, which is called the Future War armbar, this one's more like that. He ended up doing like a front, like a rear chin lock along with it. And maneuvers like that, as I explained to my cousin's son a few months ago, some of these maneuvers are just to add insult to injury. Like the claw. The reason the claw is used, and that's like putting your hand over your opponent's face and forehead. The reason it's been used for so many years, or was used, by Baron von Raschke in AWA, by Fritz von Erich at World Class Championship Wrestling in Texas. And some other people may have used it outside of those two. But it's that insult to injury, basically. That's why you use that. Maneuvers like that and maneuvers like the traditional armbar that you put again, that you pick up and you put your hand against your opponent's hand and you pull back. And when you do it like that, it's not just embarrassing, it makes them almost pass out, so it makes it even worse. I've seen maneuvers like that done in mixed martial arts, and it's not that type of maneuver that I'm referring to, but a rear naked choke is like either a sleeper hold or a rear chin lock maneuver. And a lot of times people do pass out in MMA fights because of those maneuvers. So it shows these maneuvers, even though wrestling is predetermined, because that was the only way to stay in business, was to turn it into a regular show and not a sport. Even though it's predetermined, they do use a lot of legitimate holds. Now, how do you use some of these holds in a real fight? That's why it's very important to study submissions. Jiu-jitsu is what MMA fighters use today the most. And jiu-jitsu is basically foreign martial arts that you focus on takedowns and submissions. So that's why you see a lot of submission holds in mixed martial arts, because of the jiu-jitsu training that they go through. But this was really great strategy by Hunter Helmsley using these maneuvers. What I never understand is why Marlena would smoke a cigar when she's so feminine and so ladylike. And I guess that's I guess besides maybe liking it, the idea may be that's why, is because it's to be funny, or it's to make you, it's poke fun at the fact that she is feminine, and that usually if you're a woman smoking a cigar, you're usually not feminine like that. So it could be all of those reasons, plus reasons that I'm not thinking of at the moment. Okay, let's see. He's pushing his arm down for a pinfall. Ooh, I knew that was coming up. He went to jump up, and when he came down, right over gets hit in between the legs by both of Goldust's knees. So we know that was not to break rules. And by the way, I see a fan in the audience was a big fan of the Road Warriors because this is their hometown of Chicago. He had a pair of Road Warriors spikes and he had gotten the paint job of Road Warrior Hawk, so he was obviously a big fan of Hawk. Okay, he gets back in control of this Hunter. The vertical suplex, expertly applied. See, he taunts the audience, hesitates almost, knee drop. I think they said that's. I think he took that maneuver from one of the Briscoe brothers. I think they said it was Jack Briscoe used to do that maneuver. Only gets a 2 count for his efforts, and I don't really think he's looking to finish the match right here. I think he's just try to wear him out. Goes into the corner. That may have been a right hand, another right hand. Gets turned around on him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By Goldust, Irish Whip. DDT by Hunter slows down Goldust. Let's see. I was going to do something for my podcast, but I forgot about it until now. So when I do my next episode of my podcast on here, I'm going to be starting talking about title reigns, and I'm going to start off by talking about Ric Flair's famous 16-time world title record. And the reason for it is I noticed as I was watching, okay, I not only like documentary DVDs, but what I liked the most was watching the matches that I don't remember ever seeing. And what I had noticed was when he was NWA heavyweight champion, the 10 pounds of gold, he won the title 7 times. And it made me wonder how many times did he win the title in general? So I just want to announce this and say that my purpose for bringing this up is to say, based off of facts like that, I thought it would be interesting if I talk about his title reigns one at a time from Wikipedia, so I can make a point about why I think facts like that are interesting to me. Okay, let's see. Irish Whip blocks the hip toss attempt. Does Goldust. Turns it into backslide to kick out. Let's see. Inside cradle by Goldust. 1, 2, kick out. Ooh, clothesline by Hunter. Hmm. Ooh, shades of WrestleMania 3 where Triple H is about to be. No, Goldust's trying to give Triple H a scoop slam, and just like Andre countered it by going on top of Hogan, both got a 3 count. Same thing with Hunter right here. Kick out by kick out or a left shoulder up by Goldust. Irish whip by Hunter. Duck by Goldust. Ooh, crossbody press. 2, kick out by Dustin. Dustin did the crossbody press. Hunter kicked out of it. Irish whip. runs over the back of Hunter. Boom. They bump heads. Oh, they're both down. The referee has to check on both of them. Then he has to start. Then he has to start counting to 10. This is the turning point of the match. This would be a perfect time for China to go toward the other side of the ring. See, Triple Hunter gets up first to his feet, goes out to the apron to go to to go up top. When he comes down and he lands, gets hit in the face by Goldust's his right elbow. That's what it is. Okay, now he goes back to the 10 count. I think we're up to 3 right now. They used to do the double feature a lot, where they would show replay what just happened. Ooh, I see what happened. As he was landing, Goldust jumped up so they could hit him with his elbow, take him down. Okay. All right. It's almost been an hour doing this live stream, 56 minutes. So I'll just. Okay. I didn't realize it was still playing, so I think I missed something here. Okay. Okay. Okay, this time. With his right elbow, as Goldust was out the way, Triple H or Hunter Hearst clumsily falls down. Let's see. Right hand to Hunter. Right hand by Goldust again to Hunter. Let's see. 3 right hands, or at least they look like right hands. Irish whip. Back body drop. Gets it. Right hand, it looks like. Ooh. Irish whip. Ooh. Straight down. It was like the Shawn Michaels maneuver where he went into the corner and he came straight down after he flipped himself. Bulldog by Goldust takes him back to the natural Dustin Rhodes days. Cover. 1, 2, kick out. Shoulder up. Irish whip. Okay. He's turned around. He put him back in their corner. I think he's about to go for the finisher right here. This Goldust. Like I said, it's a perfect time for China to come around to them. That's what she did. Picks them up, but Triple H goes behind him. Kick. He's going to go for a pedigree right here. Double leg takedown. See, goes for a catapult. Boom. Onto the ropes. See, it goes, and he sees what's happening with Marlene. He goes to the corner, picks him up. Ooh, high knee. She falls into China. See, China's tearing her apart. Goes for pedigree right here. Gets it. Okay. Looks like 2, 3. Wins his second second ever match at WrestleMania. So I'm gonna stop right there. I hope you'll enjoy this and do my best to remember to talk about Ric Flair's title record and why I want to talk about it. Thank you and